Hey guys, thanks for joining me again today. Well, I've had the FJ out of the garage now for quite a while now. I've done a bunch of trails, maybe 10 or 12 or so, quite a few, and I think I've driven it about 500 miles overall. So it's time to do some maintenance on it. I got to change my braking fluids in my front and rear differentials and in the Atlas. I'm going to go through and show you the damage that I've acquired so far, the scrapes, a couple bends, so stay tuned for that. And also just go through and make sure all my nuts and bolts, hundreds of them, are all tight and secure. And yeah, other than that, just make sure it's ready to keep going. So if you've been watching my videos, you know that I haven't really had any major issues with the FJ. It's not making any weird noises, haven't really had any problems with it at all. So changing the fluids is gonna tell me if there's something going on inside the differentials in the Atlas that I can't see, if there's metal shavings in there or anything. I don't think there are, but you know, there's only one way to find out. So for the first bit of sort of damage, but not really damage, just trail wear, I have hit my rear differential cover. Good thing it's made out of 1/4 inch steel. You can see I've dragged it a couple times on some rocks, so I'm glad I've got this extra strong cover. I've also dragged my panhard bar or track bar mount that I made, but it's holding up just fine. But you can see I've dragged it across some rocks a couple times. These are 12-point bolts on here, bolt heads. This one's actually a little bit damaged. The fluid doesn't look too bad. That's good. Everything in here looks really, really great. I don't see any metal, any strange wear happening. It looks perfect, absolutely fantastic. And it's working really great too. This Yukon Grizzly locker, which is very similar to a Detroit locker, I've been super impressed with. It never makes any noise and it always works perfectly. I pretty much love it. So since everything looks good in here, I'll just get it sealed back up and filled back up with new fluid, and I'll leave it alone for thousands of miles. I always like to make sure to dig out this oil that collects in the bottom. Just kind of force it to drain out so you get everything out. All differentials seem to have these little pools at the bottom. Spread my silicone on here nice. Not too much, not too little. So the Sterling 10.5 axle does have this factory plug location that's magnetic, in addition to the aftermarket cover plug right here. And that magnetic plug did have some metal shavings on it, but not too bad. Nothing you wouldn't expect from a break-in period. So I'm glad it picked out what it did. Interestingly, on this Rough Stuff rear cover, normally you fill the differential till it overflows, till the oil is up to the plug level. And so it came out of this factory plug on the Sterling 10.5 before it comes out of this plug. So I just kind of fill it between the two. All right, so now that the Sterling 10.5 is all squared away, let's see what's behind door number 2. You can see on the Dana 60 that I've been hitting some rocks as well. So again, 1/4 inch steel from Rough Stuff Specialties. And just like in the back, things are looking pretty good here. Looks about perfect. Get this fluid out of the bottom here. keep calling it fluid. I should call it oil, right? Get this oil out of the bottom. There's a little bit of metal fleck in there, but it's all small and uniform in size, so I think it's okay. All right, we're all sealed up. Time to get some oil back in here. All right, guys, beautiful. The Dana 60 is all lubed up and ready to go for another several thousand miles, hopefully. All right, guys, well, everything looked really great in the axles, and I'm super happy about that. I didn't find any surprises, no big chunks of metal or teeth that are all chewed up. Everything looked fantastic. So, with the front and rear axles done, now it's time to change the fluid in the Atlas. Advanced Adapters does recommend changing the fluid after 500 miles, and like I said earlier, it's been about 500 miles. So this is a little trickier. To do this, if you recall from watching me install it and everything, I've got to pull out the driver's seat and pull out the center console plastic, and then I should be able to access the Atlas under the floor. All right, guys, I found the Atlas. Not too difficult to get to. So I got the sight tube on my Atlas transfer case, and as I can see, it's still full, which is great. But these are also the drain and fill holes. So you fill here and you drain at the bottom of the sight tube. And my skid plate is kind of underneath the drain hole. So it's gonna be a little tricky, I think, to figure out how to drain this thing without making a huge mess. See what I can do. All right, I'm gonna see if I can just rotate this filler tube down so that the fluid drains out. Let's see. Oh, well, it's definitely flowing out. Ugh. It's not ideal, but it's coming out. So yeah, it's draining out really slowly. I don't know why it's draining out so slowly. The hose that the sight tube isn't kinked or anything. I guess the fluid is just thick or something. But it only holds 2.5 quarts, so this should only take I don't know, an hour or so at this rate. All right, well, while I wait for that to drain, it's taking a while, but it'll get there. Let me show you my damage that I've gotten on the trail so far. It's not really damage, except for in one place, just scrapes. But so up here on my Hydro Ram skid plate, it's doing its job, skidding. It's gotten some scrapes. Got a scrape on my lower part of my passenger side C, axle C right there. Under the Atlas, my skid plate has some skid marks on it. Again, not really damage. My little barely adequate muffler has taken a couple hits, or maybe just one hit, I don't know. But it's got some scrape slash dent in it. My rear drive shaft yoke has hit some rocks. Nothing too crazy terrible though. So my rear links, well, really all four links kind of are similar. They've been scraped up on rocks. You can see the up there on the driver front scraped, and then same thing on all four links. Just some little scrapes on rocks. My only bit of damage really is this front lower link mount got hit on a rock and it bent in a fairly decent amount, but it's not hitting the joint, so it's not like an emergent situation. I will probably wait till I get home to fix this. I'll just straighten it out, and I need to replace this grease zerk in this joint. So yeah, other than a little muffler scrape and that bracket bent a little bit, no actual damage, just skid plates skidding and everything else just kind of doing its job down there. Now, those of you who are really observant may have noticed this missing from the back of the Atlas, this mount that mounts around the tail housing of the Atlas. It's not on the vehicle anymore, and that's because a grade 8 bolt actually snapped off right there, and I thought a bolt had just fallen out, so I went to replace that bolt, but I couldn't. I found out it was broken. A grade 8 bolt had broken in there, so I just decided to remove this and leave it out. And actually, Advanced Adapters doesn't recommend using this mount, is what I've heard, so I'm just going without it for now. And honestly, I probably won't ever put it back in, because there's obviously a lot of force happening back there. It broke that grade 8 bolt, and the rumor from Advanced Adapters is that mount can actually snap the tail housing of the Atlas, and I really don't want to do that, so I just probably won't ever use it again. Still draining. If you've got real bead locks, make sure you tighten your bolts. I just went around and tightened mine, and they were all a little loose for sure. Okay, the Atlas has finally finished draining, and we've got about 2.5 quarts of fluid down here. I don't see any metal in it, so I would say we've had a successful break-in. Filling it up with the liquid gold AMS oil, synthetic manual transmission oil, 7590. It is slow flowing. All right, the Atlas is full and put back together. Now I just need to put my interior back together. It's not a big deal. It's like 8 bolts and just kind of clicking everything back in place. All right, all back together, ready to roll. Just in time too, because the sun is about to disappear. Well, there you have it, guys. No major problems with the FJ. It's in tip-top shape. Differentials and Atlas are good to go, and everything else looks as expected. Thanks for coming along on this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe so you can join me every Monday and Thursday for a new adventure. I've got some big trails coming up, so I hope you're around to see them. See you next time, guys.